Hello, everyone. My name is Mona Ellis, and I'm a substance abuse professional. I'm coming to you live today only to talk about some of the things that have been going on this week in particular. And I wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. And so, what I'm finding out is that when I return my drivers to work, they've completed their SAP program and they're eligible to take the return to duty drug test. They're going off to work for companies, and then they're coming back to me saying, hey, my clearinghouse file has not been updated. And so that's the new trend for this week. And so I did some research and I found out that what's going on is that many of the CDL drivers coming out of the SAP program, they're coming on to companies as 1099 employees contracted to drive the company's vehicle, but you are considered your own employer and you are self-employed. And so what this means is that the company is going to do everything that they need to do to comply with DOT FMSCA to get you on board. So they're going to do the new hire checklist, and they're going to probably even do a pre-employment test observed, which would count as your return to duty drug test. But after that, they may not send you for another single drug test. And so for everybody that's coming through the SAP program and they already saw the SAP and they're eligible to take the return to duty drug test, and you're out there looking for an employer, I want you to get a heads up on what questions you ask upon them hiring you, because they may not explain to you that you are coming on board as a 1099 contracted employee. And so I have kind of taken a lot of notes because I've been doing a lot of research. And so I even have one of my drivers, I had them to send me their clearinghouse record, and they have been driving for quite amount of time. And I have proof that the record is not being updated effective today. And I thought it was important that I kind of get on live and share this information, because going through the SAP program is very expensive, not alone paying the SAP for all of that, and then also having to pay for your treatment or your education programs. You're paying for that to go and get hired and not be able to continue doing what you love to do because your clearinghouse file is not updated. And so this is considered as a consultation. I'm not an attorney. I'm not legal representative. I'm just giving you information. It's just information that I got from the Clearinghouse FMSCA website. So I will be reading it out as a result of I'm only providing information. And so I have on here an owner operator, an employer that employs himself or herself as a commercial driver's license CDL driver, typically a single driver operation. Okay, that's what you are considered according to FMSCA, an owner operator. So what does this mean, Miss Mona, if I'm an owner operator? This means that you're going to have to contact the clearinghouse and say, look, I have found out that I'm an owner operator, that I am hired on as a contract employee, self-employed, and I need a third party administrator or a consortium to manage, okay, my clearinghouse records. And so they will have you to probably most likely get a new account, register under another account so that the consortium can manage your account instead of an employer. Okay. So when the employer hires you on board, whether it be an employer or a contractor, they're going to do a full query search. Okay. Which is only going to be eligible for 30 days. So anything that happens to your clearinghouse after that, if there's any changes, you get a new violation or whatever, they're not going to get an update until you provide them with consent, again, to access your record. Now, they have to do this every year. So they are still subject to do these query searches by, whether you're a contract worker or you're employed on with the company, they're required to do the query searches by law. So keep that in mind. So you still will need a third party consortium or an administrator, okay? And they also can do your query searches for you. They can do your return to duty drug test. They can do your follow-up test, your testing plan schedule that the SAP has provided you with, and they can also do your random drug test and any other drug test that you need. The consortiums, it's a lot of them out there. There's Foley's, there's Highright, there's a local one that I use in Houston that I kind of refer some of my drivers to when they tell me up front, look, I work for myself. I don't work for anybody. I'm a contractor. So I will give them Dr. Ma with the Physical and Wellness Clinic, and he's off of he's in Houston, so I can get the address. It's on my website at monamentors.us. I have him on my website as a consortium. And so he provides consortium services. And these are the questions that you have to ask when you're going to get a job. Am I a W-2 employee or am I a 1099 employee? Because it's really a mess when you start working and you've been there for a year and nobody has done your follow-up test. So I had an employee because of one of my my clients left a 1099 job and they went on to a W-2 job, which is really cool. And so I'm hearing once you've completed the SAP program and you've gotten your return to duty after 6 months or a year, you can start back working for these major companies. You're eligible to get on board with them. And so that's what's happening. Well, lo and behold, nothing has been done. So I had to do a lot of case staffing and a lot of training of this company, letting them know what the federal regulations state, because they wanted the person to complete the SAP program all over again because they didn't do the follow-up testing plan and it was not complete. If that happens to you, you do not complete the SAP program again, only if you have a new violation. If you have not completed your follow-up testing plan, then the new company will have to do your return to duty drug test if that hasn't been done, which most likely it has, but they will have to resume your follow-up testing plan from the hire date that they hired you. They would have to continue that follow-up testing plan, which means the other employer that you were working for would have to send them that information. If they don't send that information, then you will have to start the follow-up testing plan all over again. So that's so much, it's just so much information that I just want to share with you guys. That's very important for you to know, because when you're coming out of the SAP program, you want to work for a company, you want to get paid what you're worth, and you want to be treated like a human being and not taken advantage of and be slave driven for low wages. And so sometimes you have to set this up. If you're getting 1099, you got to set this up so once you stay on board with them, you can move on to other companies without having these setbacks. Another thing that I have, the difference between there are owner operators. That means that's somebody who may have their own truck. And so they're leasing not only themselves as a driver, but their trucks, they're using their own trucks to do the job. Well, on the other end, they just have the drivers where the company will provide you with the truck. And you're still a contractor. You're still responsible for everything, but they're just giving you a truck. They're assigning you a truck. And yet you're still responsible for the drug test, the third party administration, keeping up with all your paperwork, all the administrative stuff. You're still responsible for that. And so I do provide consultation, but you don't necessarily have to come to me for a consultation. This is just the information that I'm going to share with you in the consultation anyway. The only difference is I will provide you with manuals and documents from DOT that will give you greater insight for you to read and study. As a professional driver, you will be able to know what you need to do, and it opens you up to come back and ask questions. And so there's a difference between, just because you don't own your own truck, you're driving a truck for the company. If you're a 1099, you still may be subject to having a consortium or a third party administration to complete your drug testing, your follow-up testing, your random testing, your post-accident testing, and whatever else testing that you may have to do. On top of that, they charge you a separate fee to update your clearinghouse record. So they will even manage your clearinghouse record along with the testing for you. This is an open chat. If you have questions, just put it in the chat. I will answer the questions. All right. So what is the clearinghouse and why do we got to do all this anyway? This is just so confusing to me. The clearinghouse is a centralized database that employers use to report drug and alcohol program violations and to conduct queries which check that current or prospective employees are not prohibited from performing safety sensitive functions such as operating a commercial motor CMV due to commercial motor vehicle or having an unresolved drug and alcohol violation. So they're able to check the clearinghouse to make sure that you've completed the SAP initial session, your follow-up session, your return to duty drug test, and that you are not prohibited from driving a commercial motor vehicle. The clearinghouse, they have the query search, which tracks your employers, who you work for, how long you work for them. So they have access to all that information as well, because it has to be updated in their records. And it also may be subject to audit purposes. Okay, so some of the question answers is an employee required to conduct a pre-employment and an annual clearinghouse query for drivers who are in the random testing pool regulated by another DOT agency? That answer is yes. You know, they still have to, even if you regulated by another agency, if you're working for them, any type of work, you're providing the service to them, they still have to do the query check. They still have to do all the pre-employment and all of that annual stuff, and they have to have that documented in their records. Okay, and so all this stuff has to be done. And so I'm going to go back and recap and review. Number one, if you are a 1099 contracted employee, whether you have your own truck, whether you are working for a company who has their truck and you're driving the truck. I even have some sample contracts to share in my consultation. So you will be they even have employment applications where you still will do an employment application, but you're still going to be a contractor and you're still going to sign a contract saying that you're driving a vehicle that they're going to assign to you, which makes you an independent employer, but they're just providing you with a vehicle to do your work, but they're still hiring you on as a contractor, which means that either or, you have your own truck and you're contracting yourself out as an employee, you have your CDL driver's license, and you're driving a truck that has been assigned by the employer or the contractor, and you're hiring yourself out as a self-employment commercial driver, you still have to have a third-party administrator or consortium to manage what? All of your drug tests, your random, your follow-up drug tests, or if you're subject to a return to duty drug test. Sometimes companies will bring you on and they will only give you a pre-employment drug test because you're not their employee, you're a contractor. So they may not even give you a return to duty drug test. All this stuff needs to be clarified in the interview before you start working for this company and before you start signing paperwork because you're so excited to have a job. What are the questions should I ask? Am I a W-2 employee or will I be a 1099 employee? Next question. Will you be handling the return to duty drug test, the follow-up testing schedule? Will I be under your consortium or will I need to have my own consortium? If you're going to be under their consortium, that needs to be in the contract, because that means that they're going to take on that responsibility, and you need to have that documented, because DOT, they're going to come to you for audits. When that company get audited, they're going to come to you as an independent contractor and self-employed individual. All right. You have any questions, just let me know, put it in the chat, or just send me a quick email. Not an email, I'm sorry, just respond to this and then respond to the video. It'll come to my email and then I'll respond. Give me some time. Sometimes it may take me a half a day or a day to get back with you guys. Thank you for stopping by. And like I say, have any questions, you can just put it down here in the comments, or you can visit me online at www.monamentors.us. On the top, you'll see my Zendex support team email. You can just email me from the Zendex support team system and I'll respond back as well. I'm also just a phone call away. I'm busy, so you may have to leave a message. My number is 713-266-2090. And as soon as I find out more information about what's going on in the clearinghouse or what kind of things that I'm experiencing, I'm going to keep sharing this information, because the clearinghouse is new to all of us and we are learning as we go, but yet we are still responsible for complying with the FMSCA regulations as it relates to the DOT safety sensitive positions, as it relates to SAP and employer and independent contractors. We all have responsibilities and we all are considered professionals who are serving the public. So we want to get it right the first time without having to pay fines, without having to pay mistakes, because they're easily made without having knowledge and information. And that's what I'm bringing to you. Thank you and enjoy.